everyone, and welcome to Lunch for the Soul. I'm Melissa Wilson in the Fox 26 newsroom. So happy to welcome you here to Houston, Texas. I actually have out of town guests joining me today, so I'm so happy to be able to have these Texas residents be here with me today, even though they couldn't be here in Houston. What a story they have to tell. Now, you may remember quite a few years ago, about 4 years ago, I did the follow up with the sole survivor of a plane crash in the Bryan College Station area. And today we get to talk to him almost 5 years after that fateful accident, find out how he's doing and how things have changed in his life. And also a very special guest who helped get him back and rehabilitate him to how strong he is today. But first, let's begin with Luke Armstrong. Luke, I'm so happy to see you again.
Oh, it's so good to see you too,
Oh,
virtually this time.
yes. How are you doing?
Really well. Just My daughter's just turned 5 months old. My wife delivered her in October of last year, and so it was a very special Christmas and special New Year, and it just everything special. It's a year of first in our family.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations on how far you have come. I know it's so huge. And I want to bring in an unbelievable specialist right now, and then we'll get back to her in just a minute. But I just, first of all, want to say, Dr. Valentina Neufeld, so happy to see you from the Center for Neuroskills in Dallas. Thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
How I want to talk to you in just a little while about how you helped this young man come so far, but I just want to know today how it feels for you to look at him and see this power and his strength.
It feels amazing. It certainly makes me feel, very good and very happy inside that, not just myself, but CNS as a company, we were able to help him. It's nice to see how far he's gotten.
And you saw him probably close to his worst, right? In the very beginning stages.
Yes.
And then you see him today. What is that? It's incredible, isn't it? It is
It,
such a beautiful, I'm going to call it a miracle. It's beautiful.
it is. It's fascinating to see how everything that he has accomplished after he left CNS. And it's just, it warms your heart.
Yeah, it really does. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you in just a little bit about how you helped him do that because it was a lot of hard work. All right, so stick around if you can, and I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, so Luke, let's go back in time to what was going on. You were in just the prime of college life, enjoying everything. You had a beautiful girlfriend. Tell us what happened back on August 20th of 2020.
So, I was 1 week into my senior year, getting ready to start, or had just started my last year of college there in Aggie land at Texas A&M, and disaster struck. Um, it was quite the setback, but um, the physical and the mental rehabilitation was a long process, but
Mhm.
so much good has come from what was just a terrible accident.
Well, I know that your faith played a huge role, and definitely want to get into that as well in just a moment. But let's talk about the lives lost. So at the time, your then girlfriend and her parents unfortunately perished in the accident.
Yes, yes. It was a terrible accident. We lost three wonderful people, three members of the Walker family, and
Mhm.
people I was very close with. At that time, Victoria and I had been dating for all of college. We actually started dating our senior year of high school, so
Mhm.
um, I was very close with all three of the Walkers, and especially Victoria.
Well, even after all this time, I'd be amiss not to say that I'm sorry for that loss. And I know that you've been able to recoup some of those feelings, but I know a part of that will always be with you. It was such a traumatic time in your life. Let's talk about how you were able to overcome this. So, you were the only person who survived this, but at the same time, very traumatic injuries. I believe you had told me the first time I met you years ago that you broke every bone in your face but your nose.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So really severe injuries, to the head, traumatic brain injury, some nerve damage in the cranial nerves and the optic nerve. Um, had spleen, liver laceration. Did you know you could bruise your heart? I had collapsed one lung. Um, so it was very serious injuries, and it was touch and go for the first several weeks there in the ICU. Um, but it was the healing process. It was a long process, but it was
Yeah, it
healing.
was a long process, almost a year of hard work on your behalf once you got out of being in ICU for a month in College Station. Well, you mentioned the optic nerve. That's why I want to bring in Dr. Neufeld, call her Val. I know that that's what everyone you often go by. Let's talk about what that looked like. So when he came to you, he was having some pretty serious vision problems, right?
Yeah, they were quite severe, and both eyes were actually affected. But having damage to the optic nerve is a big deal. Obviously, everything else is also a big deal, but the optic nerves, they transmit the visual information to the brain, and for the goals that Luke had said that he wanted to accomplish, when he came to us, such as driving. Um, that's one of those things when we hear that it's kind of it's one of those things where I have to have a conversation and the come to Jesus moment, because at the time when I first met him, I didn't know like specifically how bad his eyes were. But yeah, it was a challenge, I think, for everyone, in a good way. um, but his eyes were very severely damaged.
And when you see a young man like that and he's in college and he just wants to be able to drive again, how do you help keep somebody positive in that situation? Because I know that's part of your job too, right? Of maybe not giving them too much hope because you can't promise that they're going to be healed, but keeping them up. I mean, I'm sure that that's a really fine balance for you.
It is, and it can be challenging on its own.
Mhm.
But you know what? It really helps to see or have past experiences of the work that we provide at CNS.
Mhm.
And we've had multiple patients that have suffered, significant damage to the brain, physically, cognitively, and so forth. And see the work that we do as an organization. It is very helpful because I know what we're capable of. Especially when we have patients like Luke that they are very determined. And I mean, one of his things that was really positive in the process here is that he was so determined to achieve his goals, and that made a huge, huge difference in
Yeah.
his progression.
Well, and people might be surprised that you actually have therapy to help him, right? I was amazed to see all the different devices and the stuff that you had. Can you walk us just through a few of those of how you help him rebuild those skills?
Yeah, so at CNS, we do a lot of, it's a multidisciplinary approach. So
Mhm.
we work as a team, and we meet as a team, and we talk, and we customized his goals, right? The program to what he wanted to achieve. And so working together really, really helps. And it helped him significantly get to where he's at now. But some of the things that we do is obviously multidisciplinary. So we're all talking, we're all having conversations of how we can, hit every single issue from different angles. And also there's things like nowadays, right, that we have adaptive technology and of course virtual reality and nowadays AI, right? So things bringing in all of those things were very helpful for him.
Mhm. Luke, I know it was a lot of hard work. Where did you get that inner strength to try to go through this all while you're grieving the loss of loved ones?
Um, I called upon the relationship I had with the walkers to find strength. Just knowing that carrying their legacy with me as the sole survivor, um, that if I laid down or folded and didn't stay the course to a full recovery, that was going to diminish, in my mind, the legacy that I carry with them in my heart. And so, um, it's not to say that it was easy, but with faith and the Word and the Bible, um, just confidence that every day will be a little bit better. And
Mhm.
on that note, when I was going through the eye therapy, I was given the prism lenses to be able to see single. Um, and I noticed one day I was in church and I was starting to see double again. And with the prism prescription, I'm not supposed to see double. So the next day I told Val, I said, Val, I was seeing double in church yesterday. Um, and she reevaluated me and she actually determined that my prescription had gone down. So I was starting to see double again because the prism was too strong, meaning I was in church when I first realized that the therapies were starting to work, and that was where I got the first taste of progress. Um, and that progress, just getting addicted to it, and that was the motivation to keep working.
Oh, I see that smile on your face, Val. That's incredible. I know what that must have felt like to say, no, it's not getting worse. You were getting better.
Yes, I did have like the 10-second panic in the back of my head when he told me that, and I'm so glad you remember that. But yeah, so I looked at his eyes again, and in my brain, because to see his determination and how hard he was working,
Hmm.
I'm like, We're not gonna take steps back. Like we're not taking any steps back. We're only going forward. The back is old chapter, right? We've already read it. We need to find out what's ahead.
Hmm.
And so, um, I looked at his eyes, and yeah, we figured out like, hey, this is a good thing. Like you're seeing double because this
Yeah.
prescription is way too strong. You don't need it. You don't need this much anymore.
Hmm.
So that was a good moment.
Lou, do you feel like your eyes were one of the harder things for you to do, but you really had to learn how to do almost everything again, right? There were a lot of challenges for you at first.
Yes, everything from walking to remembering things. It was a the whole thing, really. Um, I I felt like, at that time I was in my early 20s, and I kind of relived my first 20 some years of progress in the span of about 14 months,
Mm.
to learning to walk again, to, first words, first time opening my eyes, everything happened there in those first 12 or 14 months or so after recovery, all the way to getting, my license again.
Yeah.
When I got my driver's license was like a second 16th birthday.
It's just unreal to think about, being a young man and then basically being a toddler in that situation of learning those things you do when you're a little boy, but how strong you were to be able to do that. You mentioned how your faith played a big role. Did you go back to your faith that maybe you had in your childhood, or did your faith strengthen through all of this that you survived? What did that look like for you in your life?
Uh, it initially, I had a lot of confusion, just with the brain not working right. It gets kind of confused, agitated.
Hmm.
Um, but as the recovery began and progressed, um, it kind of started to line itself out, and I was able to lean on. I was raised a Christian, a Catholic, and so I was able to lean on the teaching and understanding from when I was young, and um, just the knowledge that what's happened has happened, and you can't choose necessarily how you feel, but you can choose what you do. And so
Hmm.
knowing that I don't really want to do eye exercises or running and all these strength training,
Hmm.
but it has to be done. So doing it, even though I didn't want to, uh, was definitely a big part of where I took strength from my
How did
faith.
prayer help you on those hard days when you didn't want to dig deeper, when you probably didn't even want to get out of bed, more or less go work really hard in rehab?
Uh, Truly, it's the power of prayer, is where that strength comes from. The there was a Facebook page made for people to follow along with my journey, um, and my prayer warriors, as we called them.
Hmm.
When I didn't have the strength, I knew that they were propelling me forward, and so just falling back on that, and knowing that I've got to get better, and that's what Christ calls us to do, is to exemplify Him. So that was my goal, even on the hard days.
Well, I feel like you've been really blessed and you're just living the dream right now. Let's talk about how that recovery emotionally started taking place for you, where you were able to be strong enough to go back to Texas A&M and graduate. That had to be a big deal.
Yes, to walk across the stage. Obviously, everyone remembers graduating like that, but to do it when it was in question, just a year prior.
Yeah.
I ended up graduating in December of 2021. So yeah, to be able to walk across that stage and to claim my diploma and now to be graduated and hanging it in my office is, yeah, it's really special.
Thanks to your colleagues there who are letting us hang out with you for a while at work. That's a blessing for us for sure to get to steal some of your time during a busy day during a lunch hour. So let's talk about then how you were able to start dating again. I know it had to be hard at first. I believe in my heart of hearts that we're just not meant to be alone in this world. You were a young man with your whole life ahead of you. How did you start taking those first steps? Because I feel like this information can help people in all walks of stages. In all walks of life, I meet people who are widows or widowers even later in life who
Hmm.
find the will and the way to go on to date again and to get a new life and a new perspective on life.
Um, Really, truly, just the the loneliness on is one side of the coin, but then as I was progressing through recovery, like you said, we're not called to be alone. So, started looking for someone that could kind of share in that joy with me
Mhm.
and so obviously with my family, but also, with a partner. So started looking for that and that's ended up, finding Caroline, my wife, and just she was constantly, in celebration of as every milestone towards recovery was met. Just someone to celebrate with was
Mhm.
really what it focused on.
And I'm going to call you Dr. Val just out of respect. I know you prefer Val, but when you see this beautiful young man now, handsome young man who was basically just a little boy, I'm going to call him. He was a college boy, and now he's a dad. How does that make you feel that you played a role in him being able to get where he is today?
Makes you feel good. It's fulfilling to be part of someone's life in that way.
Hmm.
And the acknowledgement also, I think it's that mutual, right, acknowledgement that I need my patients to do what I do, and our patients need us as well. But it feels amazing. It's like your heart could not get any bigger; it would explode. It's amazing. It's like a wonderful
It
feeling.
is so beautifully stated. I love that. I just wanted to hear that from you because I knew that's probably how you were feeling when you just see how his life has blossomed so beautifully. Thank you for sharing that. Then let's talk about you have a couple of amazing things in your life as well. A baby. What's it like to be a dad now?
It's incredible. It's when I first told my parents, they were obviously happy, and the first thing they said to me is that, your life's going to change, and just knowing she was on the way, I
Mhm.
felt like my life had, and but with every day being a new day, it's so special to be, responsible for her and to
Mhm.
take care of her, and when she tiny little hands just grabs your hand while you're feeding her a bottle. Uh,
Oh,
it's the greatest feeling. Yeah,
I love that so much.
it's the greatest joy.
Did you ever wonder back on your hardest days when your brain was recouping and you could think, a little more clearly? Did you ever have fear that you might not ever go on to have a typical life and be a dad? Was that a fear?
Um, Absolutely. And specifically, with regards to getting my driver's license
Mhm.
back, uh,
Mhm.
my dad used to take me to school on his way to work, and I
Mhm.
remembered uh, one of the things that motivated me in therapy to make sure I got that driver's license back was I thought someday I'm gonna have a baby boy or a baby girl, and I have to be able to drive them to school. I have to,
Mhm.
and that was a huge thing to lean on for even on rough days, staying the
Mhm.
course
I
and
remember when
maintain.
I first met Dr. Val years ago, she told me that when she asked you to do some homework, you did it and beyond that, like tenfold. And obviously, people just probably don't even realize you can train your eyes and all that you did helped you get it back. You played a big role in your own health.
Absolutely. Yes, I had no idea that there was anything such as vision therapy,
Hmm.
prior to any of this. But by golly, when I was going to CNS, we had a vision lab in a spare room in our house, and um, it had to be done. So we had to do it.
I love that. And you did a good job. Okay. You also have a very special dog in your life that's making a huge difference. Tell me about this lovely soul and how that's making a difference in your life and will more so in the future, perhaps.
Yeah. So my wife actually found an organization up in where we live up in DFW. We live in Fort Worth, but it's called the Idea Service Dogs. So they train you to train your pet to be a service dog to kind of help you out. And so we've got Kairu slated. She's supposed to graduate in another couple months, but she'll be able to retrieve medication and retrieve a person for assistance whenever I need some help. So it's
Mhm.
really exciting getting to work with her, and the bond me and our dog, her name's Kairu, are forming is really awesome. So it's going to be great to have her. Dogs are always a member of the family, but it'll
Oh,
be great
yeah.
for her to be able to earn her keep. We like to joke and say once she starts working.
Do you have any lingering effects right now that are difficult for you to deal with still to this day, 5 years later?
I still have some pain in my chest. A couple of the organs that were damaged, with all the focus on the brain, they weren't operated on, specifically the spleen and the liver. And the spleen's the number one that can flare up sometimes with some pain, but we're able to manage it with medication. So, um, no worries there. It's all positive, really. I'm making the best of what could have been so much worse.
And I see a big smile there, Dr. Val, loving to see that, huh?
It's the attitude. I mean, it changes, right? Like the attitude, it makes a big difference.
It does. It's such a huge difference. Luke, do you have any suggestions for any of our viewers as we start to wrap up today, just about how to deal with life's challenges? We all have them, obviously, not as severe as what you've been through, but any advice for us all?
Yeah, never keep score. Um, it's 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 not what happened. It's how you recover. Um, and what you choose to do to make the most out of the stuff that was out of your control.
Mhm.
Um, but truly, it would be never keep score, because for as thankful as I am to recover, there's somebody that's got it way worse than me. Everyone's carrying the load and facing their own challenges, and it's kind of everyone's cross to bear. So um, I just I never try to look at what someone else has and wish I had it, and I just try to be thankful for what I've got.
Well, I am so thankful to see how far you've come. I can't even tell you how many times I have thought about you and prayed for you since I met you 4 years ago. And I have been so anxious to find out about your future. I try not to stalk the people I interview, so I haven't been looking you up, but I followed your page for a while and then lost track of you. So I was so happy when I found out I was going to get to talk to you again and see how you're doing, because it's remarkable to see. Just so proud and happy for you. As we wrap up, Dr. Val, any advice for what you see your patients go through and the ones who seem to succeed a little better? What's that difference that you see with them?
Like I mentioned before, it's really the attitude the patients have and their families, and also their ability to seek support right away. Brain trauma, brain injury is heavy in many aspects. Physically, emotionally, financially, right? So seeking support right away, I think, will really make a difference, not just for the patient, but for the families that are having to, walk with the patient through all this.
Mhm. And then just believe you can do it, right? I wear a ring that says, you probably can't tell, but it says faith over fear. And no matter what it is, how big or little, when I do that, it really seems to make such a difference in my life. And I feel like it can in everyone's life. Well, it's an honor to talk to you both. I'm so thrilled to get to meet up with you again. I can't thank you enough for your valuable time today. And you spent a lot of time with us, and that means the world. I know your story is going to get out there and help even more people. And people are going to be blessed by hearing from you. So thank you for that.
Thank you. It's great to
Uh,
see you again.
I'm so thrilled for you and have the time of your life being a dad. I can already tell you're going to be an amazing one and are an amazing one.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again so much. Such an honor to be able to speak to you. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I love having you here with me on Lunch for the Soul. Have a beautiful day. If you want to reach out to me, please do. I would love to feature you here. You can find me at melissa.wilson@fox.com. And again, thanks for being here. Same time, same place next week to join us for Lunch for the Soul. Have a good one.